I'm going to come with a pretty hot take, actually. I think there are more question marks over Arsenal than there are Man United after that game. Simply because, and this is a little bit of a dig at United, I suppose, but like, I just don't think United are any different or any better or worse off than they were last season, really. I see a lot of the same Man United from last year, where they'll be fine. Not spectacular, not terrible. And I actually thought probably the best performance I've seen of United so far this season in terms of how they set up to try and win the game. Thought they looked, I think I put it on Twitter. It's very David Moyes-esque performance from United. Like, it was a good, like difficult to break down, but looks really, really threatening on the counter attack. Like there was a lot being made about like United couldn't get out their own half, whatever. And then the first time they do, they score. Like, and I think that was very much intentional.
Oh, fully. Yeah.
So that's why I don't like United are kind of just like, yeah, that's what United are doing currently. And it might change when Amrabat comes into the team. And I think it definitely will change when Højlund starts getting a run of games because, like you said, he's quick, massive, strong. Like he's going to be a real handful. And if he can put the ball in the back of net on a consistent basis, that could be the difference for United in terms of having a really good season, a really sort of meh season that just kind of fizzles out. My big concern, though, for Arsenal is, though, and like a lot of people were praising Arsenal after the game, and obviously, I get it, they went on to win 3-1. But like, I tweeted just before Garnacho scored that United looked like the team most likely to score. And this is when Arsenal were having all the possession and, you know, knocking around really well and all this sort of stuff. But like, I always felt that, like, if United had got their chance to counter, they were going to be the more likely to put the ball in the back of the net. I felt like Arsenal, even like just a few moves before the corner and then the second goal, it looked like they've kind of run out of ideas a little bit. Like, and I do wonder if they're going to be out how they're going to cope this season of being able to break teams down that kind of just because, you know, no one really saw Arsenal coming last year in terms of how good they were, and they were able to blow teams away in the start of the season. I think they struggled against a Palace team that were happy to sit back and defend and let them have the ball, and it took a penalty to get the win. They had a couple of good chances and stuff, but they weren't like peppering them. And I think that's only the big difference between them and City. I think City can come up against a team that's going to be happy to stick players behind the ball, set up in a low block and just defend and hope to get a point out of it or hope to get something on the counter attacks. But there's always an inevitability about City, like that they will eventually get the breakthrough. I don't really feel that with Arsenal. I think Arsenal do. There's a bit of lack of killer instincts about Arsenal, if that makes sense. Like I know maybe United's not a good test for that, but like just seeing them other games this season, it just feels like they're just missing a real cutting edge at the moment. I'm not really sure how they can fix that.
I'd say the same, and like I'd say the same in all of their games. Like first game of the season against Forest, like they were 2-0 up, but as soon as Forest got a goal back, they looked shaky. Like I think I said at the time, if that game plays for another 10 minutes, Forest probably get a second goal. Yeah. As you said there against Palace, like they got a 1-0 win. They drew 2-2 against a poor Fulham side. And you've got to factor in the fact that United are missing a ton of players. We've got no left backs fit. We're playing our backup right back at left back. We're missing Varane, who's probably our best centre-back, or been our best player so far this season. We've got a midfield that is missing our big summer signing and also like the strengthening side of like Amrabat, and a front line that's been misfiring. We've got Martial on the pitch, who's anonymous. So like you've got to factor all that in, and we've gone away to the Emirates, and I'd have been happy with the draw there. Like I said earlier, you take 2 points off the teams around you away from home. And they're dropping 2 points, and you're gaining 1. But obviously, it didn't end that way. But there was big swathes of the game where I thought we're going to get either going to see this out with a draw, or get a late winner, and it was very nearly the case until obviously the goal was chalked off for offside. Arsenal got some great players. Obviously, they showed that they can be incisive with the first goal that they scored. Like I don't know why they don't play with that tempo more often, because as soon as they start popping it forward nice and quick, they can get through teams, and they've shown it. But they just seem to want to like take 2, 3, 4 touches outside the box and swing it around the outside to try and work a perfect goal. But I just don't think they've got the players like City do that can make that much of a difference. Like be that good. Whereas I think United defended really well. I thought, actually, speaking of our backup, right back at left back, I thought he was great. I
thought he was your best player.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
He was fantastic. Yeah.
All of
had Martinelli in his back pocket the whole time.
Yeah. All of our defense played really well. I think it was obviously the winning goal came from a set piece where for whatever reason they'd left Rice unmarked, but two of our defenders had been basically shoved over, and it gets a deflection at the near post. Like And, like, if it doesn't get a deflection, does he save it? Maybe he doesn't. Whatever. But like, you could have definitely seen that game ending 1-1. Like, I don't think Arsenal was showing too much of a threat. And obviously, on the break, we were going for it. And at the end, like the third goal is just the third goal when you've thrown everyone forward trying to get the goal back. So I'm not even like bothered about 3-1 because I don't feel like it was a 3-1 game. And I think maybe Arsenal on the balance of the game like deserved the win, but I don't think it was that much. I think 3-1 flatters them, definitely.
It wasn't a statement performance. Like, I think a lot of people have Arsenal down as like being the team to push City again this year. And it's something James Walcott, actually, I think it was one of his videos towards the start of the season, has said, where he said that he doesn't think that you'll see the best version of Arsenal this season. It's more likely to come next season. And I do kind of agree with that. Like, I think with what Arteta's trying to do with that midfield and with Havertz being in there, and like I know Havertz is going to get meme to high heaven because of the miss kick in the first half, and it was bad. But like, even that aside, I struggle to see what Havertz brings to that midfield that I don't know else who, but like someone else couldn't have offered for a similar price. It feels like a weird, almost like a bit of a wild card that Arteta is like desperate to try and make work, and he may well get it working with Havertz in there. But I felt their midfield looked a bit better when Havertz went off. But I'll say better, but it's not because the replacement came on. It was but I don't think Vieira was that good either, really, when he came on. Really, I actually think Arsenal looked more threatening as it got towards the end of the game. You noticed Rice started pushing forward a little bit more and started making some late driving runs into the box, and I think that gave something else to think about, which obviously he's not being asked to do for most of the game. But I think that also could have been a turning point.
Yeah, I think with the Rice pushing forward thing, it's a double-edged sword with that because that's how United got their first goal. Like he pushed up into the high press, like tried to get the ball in the corner. A few balls popped around the corner, and like it was a fantastic ball through the lines from Eriksen. And that's what he does bring. Like, whilst he's not the most mobile or kind of hardest working midfielder, he can do that. Like he can just thread the eye of a needle, and that's what came from it. So maybe that's what it is. But obviously they were missing Partey, and like Arsenal got a few injuries themselves as well.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't think I agree with you. Like, I don't know what the Havertz deal is. Like, it just doesn't seem to make any sense when you've got, what's his name? The Portuguese lad who came on.
Vieira.
Vieira.
Yeah.
When you've already got him at the club who, for all intents and purposes, has a similar kind of player profile. Like,
Smith Rowe as well.
Emil Smith Rowe there, yeah. I don't think I think Chelsea was sniffing around him as well for some reason.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of players of that ilk at the club who can do what Havertz does just as well as Havertz, I think. Because like it's not like Havertz was pulling up trees at Chelsea and making himself like a desirable signing. I think the fact that they paid so much money for him and have obviously given him a starting berth in this squad is a weird one. But we'll see how it fleshes out, and maybe he will make the difference. I don't know.
I feel like Arsenal would have been better spending that money on a different type of striker. And I know it sounds really easy and a bit too obvious to say they need a plan B to bring off the bench if it's not working. But I was watching that game as they were just swinging crosses into the box to Gabriel Jesus and Saka and people who aren't, that dominant in the air or whatever. I'm just thinking, God, you could really do with Olivier Giroud right now.
Yeah.
or someone of that mold, maybe.
Weghorst.
Available. Like Divock Origi was available. No, I'm joking. I'm half joking. But like it's I don't know whether that would have been better spent. That money on Havertz would have been better spent to have someone just offer something different if you are struggling to break teams down who just sit back and just go, yeah, come on then. It's like what West Ham do. Yeah, it's like what West Ham do. Like we'll just go, all right, Whitcross team. We've got Kurt Zouma and Nath Aguerd and all Thomas Soucek and Alvarez who are all like 6'6".
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Who just
roll out the freaks.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'm not saying like before, because I know what Arsenal fans are like. Before you start crying, like I'm not saying that they're gonna have a shit season. They are probably gonna finish second. Like I think them and Liverpool are a best place to finish second this season. But in terms of challenging for the league, I just don't think they're there yet. And I think they need that. I don't think Arsenal have that fear factor that City do. And City had that before Haaland. Like this isn't a Haaland thing with City. Like there was always that air of inevitability when you play City of like they are just going to, they will find a way to score if it's 0-0 in the 75th minute. They're going to eventually win the game. I don't know if Arsenal necessarily have that right now. And I think to be a team that goes on to win the league, you kind of need that, I think.
Yeah, and Liverpool had it when they did it as well. Like,
Yeah.
there's inevitability that they will just score more than you.